What's good, everybody? It's the Cloud with Cab Show. UFC 266 was amazing. Shout out to Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, this chick can fight, man. She brings it fight in and fight out. I love this chick. She has the spirit, the passion to fight. I want to see round 3, her versus Amanda Nunez. That's kind of what they're talking about, but I'll get into that. But look, she dominated this fight, and I told you guys against Lauren Murphy, this was my lock pick. This was my lock pick overall, and I loved it. I loved it, and people who put hundreds of $1,000s on this lock pick, you guys cashed out. Valentina, she is crazy. A 17-time kickboxing world champion, dude. She's a beast, man, and she's on a 7-fight-plus win streak right now, and her last loss was to the GOAT, Amanda Nunez. And a lot of people are saying, you know what, she can fight Amanda Nunez, which I agree. Some even say she can beat Amanda Nunez. Okay, let's pump the brakes here. We're talking about Amanda Nunez who hits like a dude. I'm telling you what, one punch and that's it, dude. Lights out, just like that. But I think, eventually, yes, the Valentina and Amanda Nunez, they will match up. But, from the bell, from the round 1, Valentina dominated her. 20-3 in strikes in round 1, all the way to round 4 when she TK'd her. She had 47 strikes to her 2, which is crazy. Lauren just, she landed 11 out of 91 strikes. It just wasn't enough. And I think Lauren was really out of sync the whole fight. And Valentina, she landed over 57% of her strikes, just like that on her. So, that's the difference. And I think Valentina, one of the most skilled fighters we've ever seen. She's like a Holly Holm on steroids times 100, right? I mean, minus the steroids, that was a joke, but you get what I'm saying. This chick can fight. And I do think, yes, the UFC and Dana White, they're looking at this and saying, you know what? She could definitely have Amanda could have her hands full 100%. We could say, those fights, one of them was definitely even. I would say the first fight, I mean, it's crazy. I just think Amanda Nunez, she has all the skills, and I think, with her, it was just, there's a weight difference, right, between her and Valentina. So I think that fight's got to happen again, which is crazy to think, Amanda Nunez already beat her twice, according to the judges, and some fans think it should be 1-1. We could say that about Nate Diaz and McGregor, saying Nate should be up 2-0 in that, but it's 1-1. So, according to the judges, and, hey, if you don't want to leave it to the judges, then submit her or knock her out. But I just think Amanda Nunez is that just, there's something about Amanda Nunez. She has that it factor. I'm not saying Valentina doesn't. Valentina definitely a skilled fighter, one of the best in the world, the champion. I just think, her fighting Amanda Nunez, it does make sense yet again, which is crazy, right? 3 times, already lost to her twice. That's like Daniel Cormier trying to fight John Jones again. Daniel Cormier, right? One fight he lost and he got knocked out from a leg kick. It was just crazy, dude. I mean, look, Valentina, hats off to her. But the main fight, man, shout out to Alexander, a.k.a. The Great, versus Brian Ortega. Look, Ortega, he brought the fight, man. He went all in on this. He was the underdog for a reason. I went with Alexander because, look, dude, he's only lost 1 fight going into this. And he threw 214 strikes, man, to 126 to Brian Ortega's significant strikes. So there was a difference there. I think round 3 was really the deciding factor, right? Ortega got Alexander down and was really going to submit him, put him in a triangle. And, during that fight, I'm like, dude, it's over. It's a wrap. We got in the new Brian. What a name, right? Shout out to Brian. Crazy, right? But I just think, dude, him getting out of that, how did Alexander get out of that? I just think that's not human, right? Any other person would have tapped there or just, like, went to sleep, dude, and just been like, dude, I can't breathe or something, dude. Somehow he got out of that. Got out of the guillotine. He got out of 2 crazy submissions. Really, would any other person would have tapped or been done. That's what champions do, though. They overcome adversity, and that was Alexander the Great's adversity right there. Yeah, really, Volkanovski, man, he's a beast, dude. He's a champion for a reason. That's what champions do. They overcome situations where the odds are against him, right? The odds were against him in that round 3, and then he got back and really started ground and pounding Ortega. And Ortega was taking it, dude, in the fourth round. That the refs were asking him, dude, like, hey, asking him questions like, we might have to stop this fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's clearly winning right now. And that was that, dude. But it was crazy, dude. For Alexander, 10 straight wins. Only 2 fighters have more, and that's Kamaru Usman with 14 and Amanda Nunez with 12, dude. That's crazy, dude. He's on a heater right now. And Usman and Amanda Nunez, they're at the top. They're the champions for a reason, and that's what champions do, dude. They just know how to get away from that, right? They just know how to overcome adversity. And when adversity hits, adversity's going to hit every human on earth, okay? That's just part of life. And that's what happened to Alexander in round 3. Adversity hit him, and he bounced back from that. And that's what champions do. I'm not taking away anything from Brian Ortega. To me, he's a champion in my eyes, and I do believe moving in the future, he will be champion one day. Absolutely. And we saw, he's lost 2 fights, one to Max Holloway. And Max Holloway, that fight, that was crazy. That was one of the craziest UFC fights I've ever seen, right? Holloway threw more combos than the McDonald's menu, dude, that fight, which was crazy. And doctors ended up stopping that fight because Ortega's eye was getting, like, too swollen, couldn't see out of it. And Ortega was still wanting to go out there. And that's why I love Ortega's because, he doesn't have that quit. He has that dog in him where, you guys cannot make me stop, okay? Obviously, doctor stopped it. She has no control over that, so they had to stop the Max Holloway fight. But, with Alexander, dude, there's a reason he's a champion. But Ortega, he's 30 years of age, and Alexander's 32, so these guys are still in their prime, if not hitting their prime. And Ortega continues to get better and better, so I do think one day we will see him become champion one day. Absolutely, but this fight is amazing, dude. Like, this is crazy, man. I think, the UFC, I love the UFC so much because it's really true fighting. We could see WWE or WF, whatever you want to call it. That's fake fighting, right? We could even say boxing. Boxing, you can really only have a certain amount of tools. Yes, that's somewhat fighting, but UFC is pure fighting. That's why people are starting to buy into this. That's why people love this sport because it's really true fighting. You could throw legs. You could throw elbows, dude. You could take your guy down. You could submit him. There's so many ways to win in the UFC. And we saw what Alexander did. He did it the hard way, but he got out of it. He wanted to stand the whole fight, and Ortega had 2 takedowns. And those takedowns, he wanted to submit him. That's what he's an expert at. He's a master at. And really, he couldn't do it then, because he's fighting a champion. But hats off to him. Alexander the Great, what's next for him? Well, who's going to be next for him? That's the question. He's at the top right now. Okay, so there's a reason for that. I think Dana White's going to give him some time, maybe giving him another super fight in January or February to defend his title yet again. He has 10 straight wins, dude. Like I said, behind Usman and Nunez. So it's so much future bright for Alexander. What's next for Ortega? He's going to continue to get better. Like he said after the fight, he's going to continue to climb the ladder. I love this kid. He's never going to give up, so I can't wait to see what the future holds for him. He'll be back in the spotlight. Then my dog, Nick Diaz, man, versus Robbie Lawler. And really, Nick came out, and he really won the first, maybe 2 rounds. Definitely round 1. He threw more strikes, dude. Robbie Lawler landed 131 to Nick's 150, which is crazy. In round 1, Nick landed 71 to his 57. That was the overall, but overall was, Nick's 150 to Robbie Lawler's 131. So, we saw round 3, and Nick even said after the fight he had it coming to him. He was getting pieced up, and really, it wasn't a knockout like, oh, he just slumped. Nick fell to the ground, and Robbie Lawler was like, get up. I don't want to go down on the ground and try to get submitted and lose in a fluky way of a triangle. Something fluky, right? So Robbie was like, get back up, he dropped him, whatever. And Nick was just like, man, I'm done. I can't do it anymore, which is crazy, right? I love Nick. And what's even crazier about it, his last fight was 2,429 days ago up into this fight. That's crazy, dude. That's a lot of days, man, of not being in that octagon. So definitely, the rust played a huge factor in this fight. And Robbie Lawler was really active. And I even said I want to be surprised if Robbie Lawler wins. I was right on all fights except this one. I just wanted to see Nick Diaz win, man, just because it's been so long. His last win was against DJ Penn at UFC 137 back in 2011, right? That's when my St. Louis Cardinals won the World Series. That's crazy. That was 3,619 days ago. that that was his last W in the octagon. And I think, what's next for Nick? Yes, it's going to be a long journey, 100%. He's 38 now. A lot of people kind of are writing him off. I don't think he's done yet. Yes, I don't think he's the same fighter anymore. I think that he lost a little pep in his step. I still think he's got that mentality that, hey, he's still a dog at heart. He always will be. He can take hits, all that. The average person would have been knocked out by Lawler in the first round, taking those hits. So Nick is a dog, man. I can't wait to see him back. I just want to see him fight again. I don't care who it is. People are going to tune in. And I think Dana White and the UFC understand, man, when both the Diaz brothers fight, people tune in. They want that, right? They want to see that action. So I would love to see something like that. I just think, the Diaz brothers, man, they make the UFC that much better. They truly do. We could say the top superstars, whatever. I just think these guys, man, they're the different breeds, right? We'll never see the Diaz brother fights like that again, right? I'm talking like, they talk smack in the octagon. They point at you. It's like a street fight, but inside the octagon with a set of rules. That's really what it's like. So I think the Diaz brothers in a real street fight would really whip any two other people, dude. I really do believe that, man. These guys are a different breed, man. I'm telling you what, man. But I just think, for Robbie Lawler, he continues to win. He's been in the UFC for years. I don't see him retiring anytime soon. But, the end is near for him as well. Both these guys, like I said, their last fight was back in 2004. That's when Diaz knocked him out, really wobbled him, and he was still on his feet, but he was falling back on the cage, and the ref called it off back in 2004. So, right then and there, it was just like, dude, that's crazy, dude. But for Nick, man, it's over 2,000 days back in 2015 versus Anderson Silva. At the end of the day, Anderson ended up winning that fight, but it ended up going a no contest because they both failed a drug test, but it's just, for Nick, it's been a journey. It really has. And for him, he's got his brother Nate that's still in the limelight right now. That still is a huge UFC star. That, he just fought recently, man. Like, dude, that was a crazy fight, too. And I think Nate, he even understands that, man, if I would have pressed that fight in the 5th round when I dazed him, 100%, dude, against Leon Edwards. And you guys remember that fight, dazed him just like that. So I think, we'll see more Nick Diaz. I do believe that. I just think the rust played a huge factor. And just looking at Nick, it just looks like he was stressed out, man. It really did. It looked like, he's coming back from like a weekend of binge drinking. But doing that every weekend for the past 2,000 days, dude. Like, straight up. It was just like, dude, man, like, that looks rough, man. That's a rough life to live like that. I'm not saying he did that. I'm just saying that's what he looked like, man. He just looked stressed out. And going into this fight, it was just like, man, like, he says he's going to have his hands full. Like, even if he does lose, whatever, he still is going to fight, which I agree. Of course, Nick Diaz is going to say he's going to, he should be fighting Usman, which is crazy, right? Usman really, come on, Nick. Like, Usman would dog him right now, okay? Maybe 5-10 years ago, that's a different story. But right now, Nick, that was just crazy talk, dude. When Nick said that shit, that's when I was like, dude, I don't know if I can bet on Nick, dude. I can't do it. I cannot bet on Nick after he said that crazy shit, because I was just like, dude, over 2,000 days, man. That, like, but you know what? That to me, that just blows my mind. But that's Nick Diaz for you. It really is. He's a goon. He always will be, and he'll be a UFC Hall of Famer. 100%, dude, and people will look up to him. They do, man. I 100% believe that. I just can't wait, man. I cannot wait to see what the future holds, but just as a UFC in general, it continues to grow. Whether you hate Dana White or love him, dude, they continue to get bigger and bigger. Bigger events. There's going to be a bigger fight than UFC 266. Actually, UFC 268 is going to be even bigger, man. They got Rose, Usman, Covington. Dude, they got so many great fights coming up. And that the UFC continues to grow. And we're seeing other athletes go to these events, right? We're seeing NFL players, NBA players. We're seeing celebrities show up at UFC fights. They love that, dude. We see Donald Trump showing up at a UFC fight now. I just think it's great business. It really is, and I think it brings people together. Obviously, it's a violent sport. There's nothing sweet about it, right? There's nothing sweet about getting punched in the face. That's a violent, man. That's definitely violent, dude. Like, would I want to get punched in the face? No, dude. Would I want to get leg kicked in the groin? No. That shit sucks, dude. It looks easy, though, right? We watch it on TV, and we dog them and say this and that, but it's like, all right, let's put ourselves in their shoes. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what these fighters are going through. We don't know what Nick Diaz went through, after the time, since 2015 leading up to this right now. 6 years later, over 2,000 days without fighting, dude. Like, seriously, there's some deep shit that's going on, man. Real shit, bro. Like, we just don't know, man. Like, straight up. But hats off to Nick Diaz, man. He brought it. I can't wait to see him fight again. Robbie Lawler as well, former champion. Let's not forget it. Same thing with Nick. But I just can't wait. But, the main fight, Alexander the Great versus Brian Ortega, that did not disappoint. That was definitely the fight of the night. 100%, dude. And that round 3 was a crazy, crazy sequence, dude. It was one of them days where it was like, dude, how did he survive? Like, seriously, how would any human survive that? The triangle choke, and to get out of that, to get out of a triangle choke like that, dude, that shit is crazy, dude. I don't know what these dudes are different breeds. That's what we do know. They're hearts of champions. I cannot wait, bro. I cannot wait till UFC 268, baby. UFC 266 did not disappoint. Let's go!